Welcome to the Ask Me How I Know podcast, the only podcast in the multifamily niche replicating what takes place outside the walls of a seminar. This is like the lobby, where honest, unscripted conversations take place and transformation happens. We'll talk about practical problem solving in the multifamily niche, as well as overcoming limiting beliefs. Thank you for joining us today, and now for our featured guest. Welcome back to Ask Me How I Know. I am so excited to have Chat on the show today. You knew it, but you didn't know it, but I had met Chat at Rod Cleef's boot camp in LA. And it was like the last event that anyone could attend really before COVID took over. And I'm so glad I wasn't supposed to be there. I'm so glad I was. Chat shared her story, and I tracked you down afterwards. And I was like, I have got to thank her. She's just amazing. So thank you for joining us today on Ask Me How I Know.
Thank you so much, Julie. It's an honor. It's an honor to be here, and it's my pleasure, of course. Thank you for having me.
Oh my goodness. So I think the honor and pleasure is all mine, but Chat and I have something very similar in common, and that is that we are both passive investors, and we are both investor relations and capital raisers. We're like two peas in a pod, except I think you're way cooler. I was wondering if you would share with us a little bit about what it's been like for you as a passive investor.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. That's a great topic to talk about. As I was telling you, I started with Rod Cleef's training boot camp here in Los Angeles less than 2 years ago. That was April of 2018. So is that, less than 2 years ago, right?
Wow, that is less. Yes.
A little over.
It is less, yes.
Yeah, because of this COVID, I don't even know my dates anymore. But so 2 years ago. And then my life has changed ever since then, because I decided to, how we are always encouraged to take massive action. And so, of course, before doing the massive action, you have to really, knowledge is power, and builds confidence, right?
Definitely.
So I really got immersed into the multifamily investing, did everything from the meetups, small meetups, to listening to the podcast every time I drove, how for traffic to Los Angeles. So every
gosh.
chance I got that I'm in the car, I'm in my podcast, and reading books, lots of books, and attending all seminars, whether, nationwide. It's not just local. So I decided to really totally get immersed into the business, so that I will know not just the theories of investing, but also the knowing and getting to know and building a rapport, building a relationship with all this great syndicators out there. It's very big. To me, that really, really was a big thing for me, and I'm glad I did that. So now I know the great operators and skilled operators, and of course with their track records and all their skills and all their all the values and principles that aligns with what I am too.
Isn't it? That's an amazing treasure to be able to travel across the country to different events, because everyone's events, I've noticed, attract different, just a different style of investor. And so when you have that opportunity, or you create that opportunity, you end up seeing a lot of different ways that people invest in their strategies. And that's really, I did not know that. That's so neat.
That's a great thing for you to point out, because I didn't think of it that way before. But as I got into it, really, I knew exactly what the investors are in the East Coast and investors in the West Coast and South and North or whatever. It's completely different culture and different vibes. But not to say that none of them are good. They're all good, but it's just a matter of what your goal is as an investor. So that's a great point to point out. Great point.
Yeah, it's like, and even I know some of the different seminars that my husband and I have gone to. It's like, you can have like Rod Cleef's is such a different balance between like mindset
Yeah.
and learning the practical application and that networking component where you actually feel like I can go up to you and we're going to talk and I can say hi to you and get to know you and it's so special. And some of the other events, just have different vibes to them for
Mhm.
I've noticed comfort level wise and opportunity wise. So that
Sure.
is really
You
cool.
being you being a warrior, Radcliffe's warrior, and
Right.
that Radcliffe is big in. He's very very giving man, a generous man. So generous as far as like giving it his all in teaching you, and of course he's very big in mindset because he's a Tony Robbins 20 something years friend or trainee also, and so the components and then of course the quality he attracts all the quality investors and attendees, so therefore the networking is one of the biggest values I've met in his events for sure.
I love it. I've met and made so many connections. Just even before we joined the program, I was like, "Oh my gosh, I love these. I found my tribe. These are my people."
Yes, yeah.
That is so great. Well, how has that helped you as you were evaluating passive investments on your own? Because I think we're similar in that we began our journey with passive investing. Is
Yeah,
that right?
yeah, yeah.
So you're jumping in and you're like, okay, at what point did you pull the trigger and you're like, okay, I can invest passively now?
Yeah. Glad you pointed that out because I went into the Radcliffe's event very very scared, because here's a widow who's trying to look for a way to maintain her money and at least wealth preservation or something, is that what you call it, wealth preservation. So what would be the best way for me so to invest my money and make it grow? And so it's very scary because I knew nobody, I knew not one soul, but the difference is I immediately felt comfortable with Rod and Robert, and
Mhm.
Tiffany was the first person that approached me while I was having lunch in a corner because I was too scared to be lunching. You know how they give free lunch on the first day. I was in the corner and I was just doing my own thing. I'm not going to talk to anybody. Tiffy, Radcliffe's
I
wife.
know okay. She is like so
She's like an
beautiful
angel.
on
Yeah,
the outside. She's so beautiful, but oh my gosh, her heart.
her
She
heart.
just
Yeah.
radiates. She's beautiful inside and out. Oh man.
Yeah, she came to me and she said, "Hi, may I join you?" And I said, "Oh my God, this lady is so gorgeous. Oh my God, why is she asking me to?" It's like, and I'm scared, but because of her, I felt comfortable, and that led me to get comfortable with Rod, and then get comfortable with Robert, and the rest is history. And then when they had the deal, I got very lucky that they and I know that they didn't ask every student they have. I know that, so
Right.
I was offered to be investing at their first deal in Ohio.
Wow.
So, so I was like, oh my gosh, still very fearful.
Right.
So I said, I'm not going to invest until I go and fly over there with them. So I flew over there with them. So staying in a hotel, hanging out and driving and all that. And so that's when I realized, wow, these people are really, really good people, good hearted people. They're very caring, very, so that's how it started.
Yeah, it's not just a show. It's
They're,
not a pretense.
no,
They're legit
no.
and they're the most sincere people.
Yeah, because we were doing the due diligence of that building, So,
How amazing for you as a passive investor, your first go round to get to partner with
oh,
Rod and Robert and go do due diligence with them.
yes, I just got so lucky with that. Very blessed, and that in itself was a very big experience for me. Yeah, and that paved the way for me, for my confidence, and for the knowledge and the experience and the confidence that I so it paved the way, and then it just made me, take off.
You're like, and I'll do that and that. And so as you go on this journey, I mean, you've been giving back as well. I don't want to digress. I can't wait. No, I got to. I just got to jump into it. You are being so generous in pointing out everyone else's willingness to give back. Just the way Rod is and his wife Tiffy and everything. But you also give back significantly. You and two other amazing women, Michelle and Candace, you came together and you created the Multifamily Women's Mastermind Group.
Yes.
So you're a giver as well, my dear.
Well, life is about giving, right? You give, and it's not like you give because it comes back to you tenfold like that. But you give out there. It's a good karma. You give out good karma, it comes back to you.
Mm-hmm.
You just give it out there. I've always witnessed my mother always giving to the poor, always doing everything and so I think that came innately from her. I remember her that we would be about to eat dinner, and some kids would pass by and they could not eat, and she would like, okay, you guys, I need to give this to the kid. Why? We're eating. These kids are poor. They don't eat, so you have to be grateful that we're eating. So that type of so it just I think it just happened naturally by witnessing that from my mother.
Oh, what a great role model to have in life.
Yeah. So it feels good to give. It's the saying, it's better to give than to receive.
Yes.
I've always believed in that. I'd rather give than receive.
Yes.
So I really believe in that.
It's really true. I was thinking, that abundance mindset, that willingness to just be generous with others. When I was teaching in the classroom, I used to teach the students, be generous with kindness. Don't be stingy with it. Be generous. Just be generous with all things, especially kindness, please. Let's try that on. Oh, wow.
That's very true.
Well, as you reflect back on those first steps of passive investing, I know that for me, even just taking that first step of wiring money, it was, my husband was at the bank and he called me and, he's like, okay, the money's off. And we're both like,
and you get nervous, right? It's like,
I know we chose wisely, but it's real now.
It's real, right? Yeah.
What were those feelings like for you? And
it was definitely scary, just like anybody else, because we're dealing with, not just 1,000, 2,000
chunks of money,
big money. And so you just have to, again, as I said, knowledge builds competence, and competence builds confidence, right?
Right.
So in as much as you have the confidence, the knowledge, you think you have the knowledge, the competence, and the confidence, you're never going to be confident enough if you're sending hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yep.
So you're still going to feel the fear, but do it anyhow. So that's why I said, chat, feel the fear, but do it anyhow, because at the other side of that uncomfortable feeling will be a very, very nice life for you. So I just did that. And again, take the massive action, take the action.
Yes, I love that, because you took the time and you got some education, so you understood what you were doing. But there is a point, and I haven't heard many other people phrase it the way you did, but I think I said the exact same thing to some kiddos while we were mountain biking yesterday. It's okay to be afraid.
Yes.
It's okay to be afraid, but you can
be afraid and you can still take action at the same time. Like our fear doesn't stop us or limit us at all. Or
I'm
it
not
can, but
very light way. Anyways, I'm not saying that very lightly. I'm saying that where you think that you've analyzed the deal already, where
yes,
you know that you're partnering and aligning yourself with the best of the best people, full of integrity, great track records, and you know that they're very skilled with what they do. So if all the factors, and then you analyze it on your own, you check, of course, you analyze the deal on your own as if you're syndicating, you're checking everything and the numbers are right. And so all the pieces of the puzzle are there. So why not take action? Don't be frozen. Don't stop yourself because you'll miss an opportunity. An opportunity will only come but once. And once it's gone, it's gone. And trust me, I've experienced that myself because I've always been fearful. As a matter of fact, oh yeah, you're in Idaho, but I had an opportunity to invest in Spokane, Washington,
oh,
and also in Las Vegas on my own. Very good deals. Those would have been my own buildings. In Spokane and in Las Vegas, just very small units, like less than 20 units. Um, but I was so scared. And this was when the prices were still like, this was like,
oh man, Spokane is so on fire right now.
on fire right now. I went there 3 times because of not. It was like because of fear. I backed out. I would have been. So what I'm trying to say is I've learned a lesson from that because opportunities only come but once, and you strike while the iron is hot. You strike at the right. If you think that everything that you asked, you've seen every factor that you consider is all good, then take the action, take the plunge.
That's so spot on because you can only, that analysis to paralysis. I mean, you can analyze everything. And then if it's pointing to yes, and you don't have any red flags, then it's just a matter of, okay, here we go. And it's not going down the roller coaster that's going to crash. It's, you're on the right ride because you've done your research and you understand. I appreciate you drawing that out. And it's such an important reminder because you can't just be like, oh yeah, that sounds great. Let me go do that. I mean, you have to do your homework and understand. That's
not to say that, yes, I've done the great deals that I have right now are great and I'm very happy about it. But there are also deals that I'm so thankful to this day that I did not do, that I backed off in the last minute because I probably would be having a nervous breakdown right now, especially COVID,
Sure. What was it that helped you? Was it just an intuition and you just listened to it? Like, how would you say?
Gut feeling, number one. And number two, there are things in that analysis that won't work. And you're just trying to force it because you really, really want that deal so bad.
Yeah.
Don't do it. Listen to your gut and don't force anything. Just stick to your numbers, stick to your asset criteria, and and you'll be good.
Oh, I love that because you really do. I mean, like if you're trying to, it's like trying to make a bad relationship work, because these are relationships with these type of assets. It's like,
and it's a long-term relationship.
Yes, it is.
Short-term, yeah.
Yes, indeed. So you've had some rock star investments. You listened to your gut and you avoided and dodged some things that could have gone sideways. And one thing I know we love about passive investing is just being able to sleep at night. So that's where I totally feel you on that. Like,
yeah. Because at my age, Julie, I and also, I don't have my husband with me. I'm at the point where I don't want to be dealing with phone calls from tenants anymore. I don't want that. I just let all the operators and the syndicators, great syndicators and operators, worry about that and let the check come to me. You know?
Yes. Sign me up too. I totally agree with you. Like, let me just have some mailbox money, please. I mean, you take my money and you make it grow. I like that plan.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Well, I'm curious what you would say. There are, I think at one point I was a single working woman, and I had gone through some difficulties and was just kind of get myself back on my own 2 feet. And, as people are doing that, women go through things, and I'm wondering, I know you have a big heart for women and helping them, find stability. Is there anything that helped you in pursuing things that you think might help some others?
Oh, wow. That's very, I love that question. Because when I joined this multifamily investing, I was on my own, very fearful. I did not know who to run to because I was new. And so, but when after doing everything that I said I did and knowing everybody, and it takes time. It takes time and a lot of money, of course. It's an investment to be traveling and to be, going to all these events. But if I can help, I said to myself, if I can help a woman that's a widow, that's just lost her husband, or that just got divorced, or a single woman that's afraid to, to invest in big amounts like this, if I can help her by guiding her to the right path, and that would be a big thing for me. And thankfully there are women that are reaching out to me now because of this, and it makes me happy that I'm able to help these women that are very scared because they don't know what to do with their money. They don't know what to do, where to invest and what to do. So I'm very happy that I'm able to be a sort of like a liaison, or sort of like an instrument to be able to help them in the direction that they want to do, in as far as their investing goals are concerned. Because I've been there. I've been very fearful. I've been very scared, feeling alone. It's not easy. And so the reason why I think I was able to go through this is because I would just tell myself, look, with this amount, certain amount, if I lost this amount, I'm still okay.
Yeah.
That's what I would do. But not everyone is in that position, right?
Right.
The matter is, some women, I've had women that came to me and it's their only savings, lifetime savings. Then
this is my only opportunity. What if I lose this?
I lose it. So I tell them right off the bat, don't invest everything. Do not, make sure that you invest whatever is just enough for you to. So I'm educating them on that, because you don't want them to put all their money and then a year later they're going to be needing it. You just have to tell them. So I at least I'm there to tell them what's the reality of this type of investing.
Yes. It's really important to have somebody paving the way. You really are a trailblazer, and I appreciate that so much. And I just think so much of women in transition. I can just think of so many women that have made that transition. And, you and I spoke, my mom unexpectedly became a widow, and these things happen in life. And it's nice to know who you can turn to and say, okay, maybe you weren't in charge of the finances. Maybe that was your partner's responsibility, or maybe you don't have a business background. But all of those maybes, you ran an awesome business prior to this, but I just think
I had a spa business, but I was not the finance person. My husband had a very thriving and successful CPA firm. He was a forensic CPA here in Los Angeles. And so therefore I didn't even see my books. I didn't even see that thing.
He did all of it. So I love that clarification, Kat. Thank you.
Yeah. So can you imagine? But don't get me wrong. I am an accountant by degree. I'm an accountant, and I worked as a trust accountant at Dun and Bradstreet for 11 years before I got married to my husband. But then quit because I had to be a parent.
Yes.
So
But I just think sometimes we can, all human beings can just pigeonhole themselves into being one thing, or even like you said, well, I did that prior to putting my mom hat on.
Mhm.
And so sometimes, and that might be a woman out there right now, or anyone out there that says, well, I haven't done this for so long, or maybe I've never done it, but I've had an interest. But just because you haven't done it for a while, or maybe you've never done something, doesn't mean that you cannot in the future. And I
Yeah,
love how you've redefined yourself.
I had to because I didn't have a choice. I didn't have a choice, but I think I am fortunate because of the fact that I also came from accounting background. So it's easy for me to, it came back easier for me. And I also always had run a business, small business. I chose for it to be small so that I could be a parent, just to have my flexibility and in parenting and parenting my son and, raising my son. So it's a completely different business because it's more of like a retail business, right? Spa business, as opposed to investing. But I think I sort of have always had that business sense a little bit.
I have no doubt. I have no doubt about that because you seem to carry it well, like it just kind of exudes from you. Oh, now you have had the passive experience and you're on a GP side. So you went from one side to another side of the world, getting your hands into the deals. And do you want to, right?
I worked my way up and built my confidence and for it. It's an opportunity that I could not let go. So, and I'm glad I did it. I'm very, very happy I did it. So, yeah.
And so your role, you are a capital raiser as well.
I am a capital raiser, but not this time. I became a GP not as a capital raiser. I just used my own money.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I will, because I do have the capability, but not right now. Eventually, probably after the COVID.
Yes, I know exactly after COVID. Well, I bring this up because I want anyone listening right now, if Chat is someone that is resonating with you for, so many reasons, she's amazing. She's somebody that you can easily connect with, through Facebook and such, but she could be someone that you could say, hey, Chat, can I invest with you? She could point you in a direction, or she might be working on something that might benefit you. So it's always good. I just, like you said, you knew a lot of different operators. And every time on my podcast, I'm like, you don't know who's going to click.
Yeah.
And you have to have that relationship where you say, oh my gosh, I can trust this person.
Yeah.
I already know I trust this person. It's such a great thing.
Most of the operators that I invested in I'm very happy about, and I can trust them. And I've been very happy with the results, you know what I mean? Of like, for example, let me just give you an example of
Please.
How great it is that I chose to align myself with these great operators, because the checks continued and the reports continued to come while we're in the middle of the COVID-19 crisis, giving me good news, like, oh, thank God we're 96% occupancy, and we have this much cash flow and stuff like that. And so checks from the mailbox are still coming, But on the other hand, which is why this is a very, very big education and learning curve for me, because I still have money I was holding on to, my stocks and bonds,
Right.
and I lost a lot of money on that one during COVID, while my apartment business is making good money. That is when I realized the volatility of investing your money in stocks is really nerve-wracking. I did not look at my stock portfolio, because it was making me crazy. It was making me so scared and nervous. I was like, next time I'll know I'll have a heart attack.
Right.
So finally I stopped looking. For like about 2 months, I stopped looking. I just stopped it. I guess my lesson learned here is apartment investing, if done right, is still the most solid and stable, because one, it's tangible. Two, you can touch it, you can feel it. It's not a it's not a speculation compared to stock bonds. I am very happy with my decision.
We were just talking, a friend and I last week, we were collaborating, I guess is a better put, on an ebook. And we were talking about exactly this, the difference between, like a hard asset, like, real estate versus the stocks. And I said, you get a slip of paper. And my friend corrected me and said, you don't even get a slip of paper anymore. It's all just ones and zeros. Like your money's just like, it's not even, there's nothing tangible at all to it.
It's all speculations. That's what I realized, So I still have my financial manager talking to me. Really, at the end of the day, he's also speculating.
Right.
Depending on the Wall Street, right? So I diversified so that at least the losses I made was offset by the apartment and investing income that so.
That's really, it's really funny, because if you're newer to listening to these kind of podcasts, this is one of the things that we always talk about with multifamily real estate. It's not volatile. And so it's ironic that you've had both, investments in both of these areas, these investment classes, and you got to experience both of them at the exact same time. You're like, no, really, I experienced both. This really was not the best.
I can talk about them like really equally. Yeah.
Yes. You're like, this is true. I'm not just making this
very, very true.
Oh.
And you have to understand also, not to mention I'm not here to talk about the advantages of stocks versus apartment investing, but in apartment investing, if I get money, I'm not gonna. I will be taxed. I will be subject to tax we will be subject to tax, but there's a lot of tax deductible that we can deduct with the cost segregation and all that stuff, right? So, whereas if I took money from my stock immediately, right off the bat, it's an income, right? So it's taxable income. So just that alone is a huge difference,
Huge.
Huge advantage in apartment investing.
There aren't any, I always hear people say there aren't any bailouts for the stock, for the stakeholders and stocks and everything. So
for sure.
It's very different. Very different. Oh, Chat, I have thoroughly enjoyed having you on my show and just had the opportunity to feature you. I always like to ask if there's any other gems. You have already given us so many gems, but I don't know if there's anything else that you're like, no, I'd really like to be sure people know.
Oh, so what I really go by is feel the fear, but do it anyways. But do it with substance when you're ready. Back it with education, back it with the competence and the confidence. So that's all I can say. And just be very. If you decide to do something, just do it with everything you got. Don't dabble. I don't believe in dabbling, because once I decided to do apartment investing, I just did a full immersion. I don't know if you're a Tony Robbins follower or a Rodcliffe follower. That's what they believe also. And I also believe that myself. Prior to Tony Robbins or prior to Rodcliffe, when I decided I want to have my own little boutique spa, I went full on from a trust accountant to a spa business owner. I went to Geneva, Switzerland to train, and Japan to train, Asia to train, just to make myself fully immersed in the industry,
Wow.
however small it is. You know what I mean? I believe in that. You go with full immersion in that type of business.
That is what we call deciding and taking super massive action. It's interesting. And I don't know if it's just that this niche of real estate attracts, that mindset, but I am one like that. I'm redoing a building on our property, and it's like, nope, I decided I'm redoing it and I'm making myself an office, and it's like, boom, boom, it just happens. It's like, no, this is happening.
We all have that kind of mindset and sort of maybe action takers type of thing. If you look around Radcliffe's events, I guarantee you most of those people are action takers. No one's messing around there, you know. So as you can, as you experienced it. Yeah.
Definitely. I agree with you. No dabblers. It's like jump in, learn how to swim somewhere along the way.
Yes, for sure.
Wow. Well, Chat, thank you so much for joining us today. And the rest of you, please take time, go and find Chat. Chat, what would be the number one way you would like people to connect with you?
I am very active now. I mean, I paused for a little bit because of COVID, but I can be reached at my Facebook, Chat Sarmiento-Steinwald, and also my Instagram, chat.sarmiento.steinwald. And of course, my my company's Chased Equity Partners. And so chat at chasedequitypartners.com. So those are the ways that I can be reached, and easy for me to be reached at. Just Google my name.
She's super friendly. So if anything that Chat said resonates with you, and you're like, wow, I think that this might be someone that, can help me out and that I can partner with, I'm like, just reach out. She's fantastic. And while you are, I love that you're saying about fear. Just get over it. Go for it. Study, learn, and jump in and go for it. Go and find your freedom.
Thanks so much for joining me for another episode of Ask Me How I Know. My guests are the most humble successes, so be sure to show them your appreciation by rating this episode 5 stars, which sounds silly, but let's be real. Ratings, likes, and shares, they take no time at all, but make all the difference in the world, if only to boost morale. Also, since I don't spend time on the how and why they got into investing, be sure to check out the show notes to get to know more about today's guests, including other podcasts they've been on that has a more traditional format that will give other details about their investment journey. It'll also tell you things like the most influential person in their life and what they're reading right now, as well as how to connect with them. And please, subscribe and rate Ask Me How I Know so it reaches other listeners like you. Until next time, go find your freedom.